Hold the phone. Are you really watching my video? That's incredible. Subscribe and let's make some digital memories together. Here we go. 2 months before our wedding day, Mia looked at me from across the breakfast table announcing, "Arthur, I need to find myself before we marry." I was pouring coffee mid-air. "Find yourself?" I echoed back. Her eyes were bright but unwavering as she nodded. "I've been feeling lost. I transitioned straight from college to work to us. I need solitude, away from everything, to clear my mind before we take this major step." "Alone," I repeated. "Where?" She paused, taking a deep breath. "Jonathan's parents offered me their guest house. It's serene by the lake. Perfect for some introspection." Jonathan Ellis, her ex-boyfriend, a part of her life for 3 years before me. Carefully, I set the coffee mug down. "You want clarity about our wedding while staying with your ex's family?" She quickly interjected. "Jonathan isn't there. He's in Chicago. It's just his parents and sister. They've been like family." I reclined in my chair, considering. "This is necessary for your search?" She frowned. "It sounds crazy, but I need space. I've jumped from my mom's home to Jonathan, and now to you. I need to understand myself before walking down that aisle." I watched as she absent-mindedly twisted her engagement ring, a sign of her nerves. "Mia," I said softly, "you realize the wedding is in 8 weeks? I'll be back in 2, 3 weeks tops. The wedding's still on, I promise. I just need this time for me." Once I might have argued, tried to dissuade her, but something rehearsed in her tone made me understand she'd already made up her mind. I nodded. "Take all the time you need." Her eyes widened in surprise. "You're not upset?" she asked. "No," I replied. "Everyone deserves a chance to find themselves." With relief, she stood, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "You're the best man I've ever known." I watched her pack 2 bags and drive off that afternoon. As her car vanished down the street, I took a slow sip, pondering. "Go ahead, Mia. Find yourself. I'll do some searching too." An hour after she left, I opened my laptop and drafted a list. Ring, venue, honeymoon, deposits. If she needed space, she could have all of it. The $15,000 engagement ring, still unworn, was my first task. At the jewelry store, the manager recognized me instantly. He greeted me with the same cheer as when I'd purchased it, though his enthusiasm waned when I placed the velvet box on the counter, explaining the wedding was called off and I needed a return. His expression softened with an awkward sympathy, but he refrained from questions and simply processed the refund, handing me a receipt. By Friday, the money was returned to my account. There was no sense of relief or regret, just a serene closure, like sealing a door left ajar too long. Next, the honeymoon, 3 weeks in Italy, was fully booked. I contacted the airline, citing a family emergency. They provided partial credit, which I used for another trip, a one-way ticket to Sri Lanka. Knowing little about it, I only needed it to be distant and peaceful. I reserved a small villa by the coast for a month. That night, with no caption, I shared a photo of my boarding pass and passport on the kitchen counter. 2 hours later, Mia messaged, "Where are you heading?" "Finding myself," I replied. 5 minutes and another message from her appeared. This isn't funny, but I didn't see humor in her actions either. My response remained unsent as I switched my phone to airplane mode and packed a lone suitcase. By Saturday morning, I was aboard a plane. 20 hours later, I landed, embraced the humid air of Sri Lanka's south coast, and found my villa, a quaint one-room retreat with an ocean view and a porch. I unpacked, showered, and settled outside. Initially, the absence of emotion was profound. No anger, no sadness, just silence. And then I smiled, granting Mia her desired distance, a generous portion. When I switched my phone back on, I faced a barrage of messages. 43 from Mia, 12 from her mother. I left them unopened. By my third day in Sri Lanka, my phone incessantly buzzed. Nora, her mother, left 6 voicemails. Her sister Lila sent texts prefaced with admonitions to behave maturely. I ignored them. That evening on the porch, a familiar newsfeed photo surfaced. It depicted the Ellis family cottage, the place where Mia sought solitude. But in the background, Jonathan stood, a smile and beer in hand. So much for his absence. The following morning, my phone rang, an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Arthur, this is Jonathan calling." I reclined in my chair, suspecting the nature of his call. "Listen, man," he began, trying to sound as casual as possible. "This feels weird to say, but Mia's been crashing at my place and—" "Yeah, I know," I interrupted him. "She's in a bit of a whirlwind trying to figure things out. It's that pre-wedding jitters, you understand?" Gazing at the waves, I added, "You two have been in contact for some time now, haven't you?" There was a pause before he answered. "Just offering an ear. Nothing beyond that. She told me about the stress she's under and I just listened." "That's awfully considerate of you," I replied, my voice devoid of warmth. "Let her know she can take all the time she needs." "Come on, man, don't act like this." "Act like what?" I retorted. "I'm simply respecting her wish for space." A heavy silence loomed before he sighed. "She's really upset, Arthur, crying nightly. Maybe she's on a path to self-discovery," I concluded, and ended the call. That afternoon, I shared a photo, a sunrise kissing the ocean. The caption read, "Peace resides where deception does not." By evening, the message had gained traction. Mia messaged again. Jonathan merely dropped by. "You're blowing things out of proportion." "I'm not reacting, just unwinding," I replied. Her response never came. I set my phone down, realizing that while she sought clarity, I was finally obtaining my own. A week later, I sifted through a chaotic inbox, filled with urgent inquiries from the wedding planner, caterer, and venue manager. They required both our signatures to proceed, and since Mia's name appeared alongside mine on each contract, any changes needed my consent too. I chose silence. For the first time in months, tranquility embraced my nights, and my days passed in the simple joys of surfing, woodwork, and evening meals of homemade curry. The wedding plans and guest lists became distant memories, replaced by a much-needed serenity. Several days later, a detailed email from Mia arrived. "Arthur, you're upset, obviously. Perhaps my actions weren't ideal, but fleeing to another country won't solve anything. We have obligations, commitments, and these are fixable. Please return so we can discuss this maturely," she wrote. After reading it twice, I responded, "Mia, I'm not angry. You desired space, and you have it. You chose to seek self-discovery with your ex's family, so I'm doing the same somewhere serene. Enjoy the cottage." I hit send and shut the laptop. Days later, while sanding wood, my phone buzzed persistently with an unfamiliar number. At last, I answered. "Arthur," came Mia's shaky voice. "I'm back home." I paused. "Already found yourself, have you?" "Please," she murmured. "Let's meet face to face." "All right," I said. A week later, ready and with a clearer perspective, I booked a flight back. Mia arrived 2 days after my return, unannounced, her appearance reflecting exhaustion, yet emanating a strange calm. Clutching her purse as though it were armor, she confessed, "I made a misstep. I thought I needed distance, but I needed to gain perspective. I've realized my love for you." I opened the door wider, but didn't step back. "Did Jonathan help clarify that for you?" Her eyes widened. "He only stayed briefly. I didn't plan for his visit." I crossed my arms. "Convenient timing, wasn't it?" Looking down, she assured, "Arthur, nothing happened, I swear." "I believe you," I replied, "but it doesn't negate your choice. You left our shared life uncertain of its worth." "I panicked," she spoke in a barely audible voice. Everything felt overwhelming. I thought some time away would prepare me. And now? I questioned. Yes, she said with determination. I want to move forward with everything, including the wedding. I nodded gradually. As for that, I've sold the ring and called off the wedding. There's nothing left to pursue. She paled considerably. You parted with the ring? It was ours. Mine, I corrected her, until you chose to leave. She gazed at me like she didn't recognize who I had become. You're being harsh. No, I responded calmly. I'm being honest. A week later, an email from a Patricia Gomez, representing Mia legally, arrived demanding half the ring's worth, compensation for deposits, and emotional distress. I forwarded everything to my cousin Leonard, a lawyer. Laughing after reviewing it, he reassured me, she's bluffing. By the next morning, he had composed a succinct and courteous reply to Patricia. Conditional gift, no marriage, no claim. The communication ceased for a while after Leonard's message. Mia resumed her online activity, and her first update read, "Sometimes the one you care about the most unveils their true self right when you need them." Her post gathered 100 likes and a few comments on themes of self-discovery and toxic masculinity. I chose to disregard it. Those who truly knew us understood the reality. Later, a photo emerged from Jonathan's family barbecue, held on a weekend when Mia was supposedly alone. She quickly removed her post, but by then many of her followers had already seen it. I refrained from posting anything in response. Remaining silent felt more dignified than seeking revenge. That evening, I received an email from Patricia. Her tone had shifted. Ms. Whitman is prepared to withdraw her financial claims if you agree to reopen discussions for potential reconciliation. Before I could reply, Leonard called. This means her story's unraveling, he said. He was correct. By the week's end, the barbecue photo had been widely shared on social media, having been publicly tagged by one of Mia's friends. Comments accumulated, and even Mia's sister Lila ceased defending her online. Although Mia didn't contact me directly, Nora did. You could have kept this private, she texted. I paused before responding. You're right. I could have. But she didn't. I placed my phone face down. For the first time, I no longer felt like the one who had been left. Sometime after, I discovered Mia seated on the steps outside my apartment. Her eyes were red, as if she hadn't slept. Can we talk? She asked. I nodded, sitting beside her but maintaining a slight distance. She exhaled a shaky breath. I know I made mistakes. I got scared. The whole wedding, a lifelong commitment, it felt like losing myself. Being with Jonathan's family felt familiar, safe. I responded, You left your fiancé to be with your ex's family. That's not safe. That's a decision. She attempted to compose herself. I know, and I thought I'd return with answers, but I just created chaos. I want to fix this, Arthur. I want us. I studied her, a woman who wasn't lying, yet wasn't the same person I had once wanted to marry. Mia, you don't quite grasp what you've broken. You didn't just take a trip. You abandoned the life we built together. Her voice wavered. I'll go to therapy. We can take things slow. Please don't end this over a single mistake. Not just one, Mia, I said. You left, lived with your ex's family, let others believe I abandoned you, and had a lawyer threaten me for money. That's not merely one mistake. That's a pattern. She fell silent, tears flowing freely now. I thought you'd wait for me. I did, I said, but waiting doesn't solve anything. After sitting in silence for a while, I stood up. You'll receive half the deposits once vendors process them. After that, we're finished. She nodded, defeated. Will you really not give us another chance? No, I answered, because relying on another man's house to determine your feelings for me means you don't truly love me. She buried her face in her hands, crying. I walked away without turning back. The day that should have been our wedding passed uneventfully. No suits, no vows, no guests. I brewed coffee the way I did the morning she left and poured it into a mug. The kitchen felt lighter. Instead of walking down the aisle, I took a train to the coast with my friend Sam. We sat by the water, discussing everything but Mia. Days later, Leonard called with news. Her lawyer has dropped the case. Everything's resolved. You're officially free. Thank you, I replied. When I finally checked my messages after weeks, there was nothing from Mia. Nora had sent a simple note. We wish you well, Arthur. It was the most amicable conclusion I could have hoped for. A few months passed before I heard about Mia again. A mutual friend mentioned she was seeing someone new, a coworker. I felt nothing. The story had reached its inevitable conclusion. Eventually, she left him after 3 months, claiming she needed to rediscover herself. Some people are perpetual seekers, never satisfied with what they find. I felt no resentment or sadness, only stillness. Mia went searching for herself, and so did I. The difference was that I actually found what I was looking for.